Well, if we're live, then we're live, right? And it's just going to be
Yeah, but
delayed, right?
like some people, even though we're live now, some people are still looking at the screen that says the broadcast will start shortly, depending on where they are and how shitty their internet connection is.
Right. So anyway, hi everybody. I'm Colin. In case you haven't met me, I am the creative director at Milviz Incorporated. Ta-da! And
Uh-oh, what's going on with... Something's wrong with your screen, Colin. Hang on. I need to reselect your screen, otherwise you're just going to be frozen. What is going on? Now I remember why I hate streaming. Damn it. Hang on. I knew it. Wait, nope, that's not it. Hang on. There we go. I think now you're live. There you go. Okay. Now you can redo that fanciful introduction of yours.
right. Hi, I'm Colin. I am the creative director of Military Visualizations Incorporated, and today we're going to be talking about some stuff. Over here is DeAndre. That's him. And somewhere over there is Osh. We don't have video of him, but he's there and he can say hi.
Hi.
Yeah, Osh is going to be handling the chat. So if you have questions, please feel free to ask them. So yeah, so let's get this show started. So today, this discussion is really not about new stuff and showing you anything, although we do have a couple of things that we're going to show. It's more about what's happening, the state of the sim. And that could be the state of the P3D, state of MSFS, state of even DCS if you wish, and the state of XP, or the lack thereof, depending on how you want to look at it. So that's the intention here. Is it's not about oh, we have this and oh, we're going to be delivering that at this point. So let me get that first thing out of the way, which is ATR. So yes, we are still working on the ATR. Yes, it is now in alpha. It is being tested by how many pilots, Osh? 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, two.
Two pilots are actively, two real live ATR pilots are testing it. So request to turn up the volume. I can't really turn up my volume.
No, I did it. I got it.
Okay, there you go. So yeah, that's the ATR. We don't have a due date. We're not sure if we're going to release it for MSFS for a variety of reasons. Yeah, so there you go. And so let's talk about MSFS.
Hang on, the lawyers are on the way in. Just give it a minute.
Well, there's some stuff that we can't say, right, because of the NDA that we signed. So that NDA covers, we're not allowed to say anything bad about Microsoft. We're not allowed to say anything bad about York. We're not allowed to say anything bad about Asobo. We're not allowed to say anything bad about the simulator. So effectively, we can't say anything bad about anything.
So should we just end the chat now?
I think we should just we should say goodbye. Goodbye. Actually, the NDA, what it says specifically is we can pretty much say whatever we want as long as it doesn't have any technical details in it. So yeah, I think that, and I'm sure Dee and a lot of other developers will agree with us on this. Microsoft's SDK right now isn't an SDK. We can't do anything with it. It's not useful. So now we know about the 320 that's being revamped, and that's very nice. But the people who are revamping it, they didn't write it from the beginning. Plus, all that code is visible. Plus, I don't believe that the frame rates are going to be acceptable when you start getting into the higher end, lots of glass, SVS, and all that stuff. But anyway, I'm willing to be proven wrong. But for us, we can't use it, right? Unless it's XML based, something like the 310. So we do have a couple of pictures, or a picture of the 310. D, can you pull that?
Yeah, give me a second.
And so, yeah, otherwise, it's been a really hard year for everybody, I think, and that includes us, right? We've had, several of our team members have gotten sick. Nobody's died, fortunately. And we've been lucky on that score. But yeah, it's been rough. It has been rough. I mean, fortunately for us, we work from home. Most of our people work from home. We don't have an office. So yeah, we've been lucky in that sense that, we get to stay home and we don't have to meet other people in person. Although, that's always fun, doing the shows. It kind of sucks that right now we should actually be in where is it? Vegas?
That was me from this year or next year?
This year, this year's, it was supposed to be.
It was supposed to be Vegas, yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of blows, that we didn't get to do that. Anyway, so yeah, so that's. You have those pictures? You want to throw them up?
Yeah, I'm trying to get them up on here. Give me just. It's gonna take a second.
Osh just posted a nice one. Ooh la la, sweet.
Let's see where the heck they went when I download them.
Anyway, a lot of people have had a hard time this year, I think, and we're definitely on the same page. It's frustrating, having to wear a mask all the time, having to go out and be around people who cough and you run away, or worse yet, you cough, and it's just because something's stuck in your throat, but everybody runs away. Ah, he's sick. Yeah, it's pretty awful. I think we can all agree on that. Anyway, so did you know?
There is an image slideshow option, but where do you upload the images? Ah, there they are. Okay.
It seems to have frozen the broadcast.
It should be Colin's back now.
Frozen.
Is it working now?
You're working, but Colin seems to be frozen mid-gesture. Oh yeah, look, here's the 310. Looks lovely.
Someone's
Both of you
barrel
guys
rolling the ATR there.
Yeah, that's it.
The ATR shots, those are P3D, right? And the yes. Cessna, that's MS 2020, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, so the ATR is coming along. Unfortunately, we had to junk the code that was originally written for it because it was junk, and it's funny how the ATR is turning into this year's KA, right? It's like we had the KA, we had to throw away the code. The ATR, we had to throw away the code. Maybe our hiring methods need to be revamped a little bit, eh? Anyway, so it's being rewritten, it's being redone, and it looks and operates a lot better than it used to. So there's that. So yeah, and the 310 is looking pretty good in 2020. We are planning to do the Beaver and the Porter and the Otter and the Turbo Otter in there as well. Possibly some World War II warbirds, but anything that's C++ at this point, we can't put into 2020 because it doesn't work. There's a whole thing that our tech guys tell us that just, yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Gosh, I saw it. I'll get to it in a second. Okay. So yeah, we're looking at that. So the YF-23. Yeah, there's a couple of options here. The YF-23, the actual bird, uses most of the front end of an F-15E. So, and we have one of those, but because it has been written for the military and not for consumers, we can't actually use it for this purpose. So what we're thinking of doing is putting the G3000, just put one screen in there into the YF-23, and it would be kind of like an F-35 kind of sort of thing. That's what we're thinking about doing, and not charge a lot for it, like $10-15 or something, like it is now, right? And just put it in there. What do you think, D? What do you think?
Yeah, if it's if there's a big enough demand for it, and we can make it work, why not?
Yeah, I think we could probably do that. I know it's the kind of plane that's perfect for that kind of thing, because it goes. The thing about the MSFS is that it doesn't allow you to go faster than Mach 0.92. So all jets are going to be slow jets, right? So that's a problem. I know that some devs are looking at hacking that. Yeah, I don't really want to get into that. I don't think it's a smart move. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, I think we're probably going to do it, but again, it won't be a real YF-23, right? With an F-15E front end. So yeah, and I just want to cover the P3D stuff, the V5 stuff. So yeah, we had some issues doing the conversions initially because it's DX12, and that basically meant that everything that we wrote that is DX11 had to be converted over. And that has slowed things down to a crawl because we have a lot of military contracts on the table right now that we have to fulfill. And actually, it's fortunate that we have those, because otherwise we'd be living in tents. And right, it would be bad. It would be really bad, right? Because sales of P3D consumer products have pretty much died. So yeah, right. I think that's the only reason we're still afloat, is those military contracts. So yay to that. But unfortunately, it's also meant that we haven't been able to deal with the conversions. However, I've heard that some of our products do actually work in P3D V5, and so there's that. And we are moving them slowly but surely. But we are trying to also finish two pipeline products. That's the Skyraider H6, I think it is, or H1, and the what's the other one? The Avanti. So those two products for P3D, not for MSFS, are going to be coming out soon, maybe even before Christmas. Fingers crossed. Osh can actually answer that question better. Osh?
No, I can't answer that question. I mean, that's the story, isn't it? Is it's ready to release? Oh no, we just found some more bugs. Okay, we'll put it back.
There you go. See, Osh told you the truth. I lied.
No,
So-
you're very honest. You hope to be Christmas, but you can't promise. That's
Yeah.
very honest.
Yeah. So
No
I imagine
problem.
a lot of people are really curious to learn what's going on in terms of getting aircraft into MS 2020. I know that for the most part, a lot of what we've seen are scenery developments, and a lot of scenery developers have been putting stuff in there. For example, Fly Tampa, I think they just showed off that their Vegas is almost done, and I know that's going to look super badass. Sceneries are definitely, and I don't want to, you know, add an oversimplification here, but sceneries are definitely a lot easier to convert over to the new platform than aircraft are. And to be more specific, aircraft that require a lot of external code, which is a lot of what we do. In other words, if we go all the way back to FSX, a lot of what we do does not rely on the FSX infrastructure. A lot of what we do exists outside of the simulator. And then we pump that stuff in. And that's why our stuff feels very unique when you fly it. Or, for example, with A2A and AccuSim and all that. A2A has AccuSim. We have our own type of setup. I don't know. What do we call it, Josh?
ADV, isn't it?
ADV.
Yeah.
So that's what allows our planes to have this very unique feel where you don't go from plane to plane to plane and they all seem to fly like you're flying the same thing. A 747 feels like you're flying a C-172 or vice versa. These things are proving to not be, I won't say even simple, but even possible at this stage. It's really complicated for us to do. And so we've been working at this for the better part of the last 7 or 8 months now to try to find ways to get it to work. And it's really difficult. And we really kind of can't. So what that means is that we've had to go back to the drawing board and try to find ways to do this from scratch. And this is what we're doing with the C310. I think I did put, it is in the slideshow here. I'll put that back up. That is what we're working on right now with the C310, and that's kind of our first kind of guinea pig to put in there. But the problem is we had to basically start from scratch trying to basically rebuild the flight model so that it can fly as closely as possible. If those of you that have it in P3D, you know how awesome it is. We're trying to get it as close to that level of fidelity as we can. And to be honest with you, it's a fairly simplistic aircraft, right? There's no Proline 21 and all this additional stuff in there that we need to get it to work, right? It uses steam gauges for the most part. So we're trying to do our best to get it to react and behave as well as the P3D version does. But that means basically having to redo the flight model from scratch and also learning at the same time. This has proven somewhat complicated, but also it just takes time. And we have full-time employees, so money is going into it that is not coming out of it because we can't sell it yet because it's not at a level that we feel comfortable with. Now, naturally, we could just rely on a lot of the default offerings that MS 2020 already has and then just dump it in and say, there you go, have a nice day. But that really wouldn't be reflective of the Milviz brand. So in order to kind of live up to our name and to our customers' expectations, we wanted to have the type of fidelity that you would rely on. Me personally, I'm just going to be honest with you. Colin might smack me in the back of the head, but I'm bored with MS 2020. I am so bored with it. The planes are nice. It's beautiful. The terrain, the scenery is magnificent. It's better than anything I've ever seen. It's everything that I've had in my dreams, right?
Yeah.
But the default planes are rather boring, right? So, we want to try to be among the first to get you an actual plane in there that moves, reacts, and behaves, that's unique and is very... a mirrored representation of the real world counterpart. That's what we want to do. But that stuff just takes a lot of time and effort. So, and I think the only thing that really backs me in saying this is that you've probably noticed a lot of other well-known developers hasn't put anything in there either. So I think Blackbox put something in there, and I don't know for a fact, but I imagine they're probably relying on probably the default FS or MSFS flight model. The same probably goes for Iris and whoever else might have put a plane in there yet. So we haven't seen PMDG or Quality Wings or A2A or Majestic or any of the developers out there that do the really high-end stuff. None of them have gotten anything in yet, and neither have we. It's quite a learning curve. And unfortunately, without breaking any kind of NDA, unfortunately, the methods of development that all of us have used collectively aren't really possible. So that means that all of us have to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to do this. Colin mentioned a moment ago, like, do we hack it to find ways to do it? Because that's the only reason why FSX lived as long as it did after Microsoft abandoned that, is everyone learned how to hack it. Everyone learned how to do everything externally, and that was fine. Hacking is kind of frowned upon with this simulator, and I don't, yeah. And I'll add to that. That not only is hacking frowned upon, but one of the things that we've been kind of bitching and moaning about for the last 6 or 7 years is wanting a new simulator. So how counterintuitive is that? That finally you have a brand new simulator, but now you still have to hack it the way you're doing the 15-year-old simulator. So we don't. I mean, that's not really the type of methodology I think as developers we want to go into. We want to have a new simulator that does what we need it to do as its foundation,
Yeah, it's open, and right now there, I'm not telling anybody anything new here. The sim as it stands now, it's DX11, and we switched everything to DX12. That's what we're doing. It's 32-bit instead of 64-bit, so that's a step backwards. It's single-threaded, not multi-threaded. That's a huge, massive step backwards. Yeah, okay, great. It looks fantastic. Airplanes look fantastic. Wow. I mean, wow. Scenery is amazing. But again, it flies like it's on rails. It's, 32-bit. It's not open. We can't justify hacking it, and then put it on the store. We can't do that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things. There's a lot of issues with MSFS, right? I mean, there's a lot of great things too. There's a lot of potential there, but in all honesty, as a simmer, and I'm not a fantastic simmer. I'm not big into simming like DeAndre is or some of the other devs on the team, right? But when I sim, I don't want to be using an Xbox controller, right? I want to be using a joystick and a throttle, and that's what I want to be doing. And so, while I understand Microsoft's objective is to get the sim, the game, if you will, the game part of it onto the Xbox, we're just not. I don't know about everybody else in the developers world, but the Xbox is not the go-to end result. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, there's no hardware yet. What's critical about putting it onto the Xbox? Anyway, so that I think is the main problem with MSFS. It's fantastic looking, but it's boring.
Can I jump in with a question?
Yeah.
Sure.
Do you have any confidence they're going to get it to be where we want it to be? And if so, how long do you think it will take them?
I think it's more, rather than confidence, it's more the proper word there is hope. We hope so.
We hope so, but at this point, without getting into details on this, because I'm pretty sure this would actually break the NDA. So far, what we've seen is not that hopeful. So, will they? Fingers crossed. But do we expect them to? I don't think so.
And assuming so, then it's a time parameter, right? It could be a year. Is it going to be 2 years? How long is it going to be? And in the interim, we have to take in consideration who our customers are. Now, I will look at some positives here. What's the great thing about the simulator going on at Xbox? Well, if you look at who our community is and who our customers as Milviz in specific are, they tend to lean more towards your more hardcore, high fidelity simmer, people who look for 100% accuracy and everything. It's not so much just your casual push a button, the engine starts, and you take off sort of thing, right? So the hardcore simmer base that has really kept third-party development alive for the better part of the last 15 years, a lot of these folks have started to die off. And I hate to use that in lieu of a better term, but that's the truth. These are people that started off in the, since the beginning, right? So one of the things that Dovetail, if they did anything positive for us, right, is they did bring in a lot more people into the community by way of putting FSX Steam up on the Steam platform, right? Because once you couldn't go into an electronic store or computer store, those don't even exist anymore, and pick up a copy of Microsoft Flight Simulator on a shelf, people just don't know about it. So they don't know to have any interest in it. So having Microsoft Simulator up on Steam, I think, was a big help. I think that gave the community a good fusion that it needed. I think something going to box and Xbox, and however many millions of people are on Xbox that will get exposed to a flight simulator, I think can only be good for us. But that being said, those aren't necessarily Milviz customers, right? Our customers tend to have a yoke, a set of rudder pedals, a throttle, probably a head tracking device, probably VR, right? So those are who our customers are, and those are the things that they rely on. So these are going to still be a desktop PC based audience, and our only hope is that would grow. But that is where our focus is, and that's essentially where it has to stay. So. And we have to continue to, because we did have some thoughts internally, do we continue to try to appeal to our current audience and then try to find ways to reach out to this new audience of new people coming in who want to learn how to fly? And that's usually how it happens, right? You just learn how to pull the stick back and take off, and fast forward 3 years later, and now you're route planning your FMS or whatever it is, right? So everyone kind of starts somewhere. So we considered that, but in a nutshell, what we determined is that our current user base, which keeps us in business, or at least did until COVID-19 hit, maybe, those are the ones that are most important to us. And so that's why with everything we do, it has to be done right, and it has to be done in a way that meets our customer demographics expectations. So, like I said, we hope that MS-20, I hope personally, because I'm still a flight simulation enthusiast myself. So I hope personally that it will get there, because, I look at what Flight Beam is doing. I'm looking at what Flight Tampa is doing. I'm looking at what Orbic's doing. And I'm like, oh my God, this stuff looks so awesome. Now I just need an airplane to fly in there with, right? I need a proper 747, 737, A320. I don't know if these planes are going to come or how long it's going to be. So it's kind of a waiting game. And I know, being on the consumer side of things and just kind of like not knowing what's going on, or what the hell are the developers doing, or everyone is so quiet, or when are we going to get this and that. And so I figured, Colin and I were talking about it, and we figured, maybe it would be a good idea to give you all just a little bit of insight, at least from our end, as to why you haven't been seeing a lot. And then we couple that with P3D, right? So we've got teams working on MSFS. Now we've still got to get everything in the prepared version 5. Now, from our perspective, and I know a lot of people are really flogging us right now for not getting a lot of stuff into version 5, there were some concerns on our end from a monetary perspective. One thing is per the advent of MS 2020, P3D's sales tanked. And you could even hear it, even at Flight Sim Expo 2018, when we were in Orlando. It was literally announced on Sunday, right after the conference ended. And we're all sitting in the hotel lobby, and we're looking at this thing. And we're already hearing the murmurs of people walking around hotels saying, P3D is dead. Microsoft is back. That's it, right? spending habits have seemed to mirror that thought process. Is that people are thinking, okay, P3D is done, Microsoft is back, they're the behemoth. I better save my money. I don't want to start buying add-ons for a platform that might be dying out or whatever. Now,
yeah, and why should I spend money? Why should I spend money? Why do I want to give money to 3PDs? They've been screwing us for years, right? That's one of the things, right? So we haven't been screwing you, right? You didn't have to buy our products, and we made them so that they are worth that money, right? I mean, if you don't think that the 310 is worth $50 in P3D, well, it's not going to be any different in MSFS, right? The pricing is going to be the same, right?
I'll also say this: if there's anyone out there that's thinking P3D might die out, let me help give you a little bit of insight on that. P3D is really huge in the commercial and military space. Huge. So yeah. Lockheed Martin has, I don't want to say obligations to it, but there's definitely a lot of life still there just based on the commercial and military, which is what it's developed for anyway. It was never actually intended for the flight simulation community. We just happened to take it over and own it. But it was never intended for us anyway. So I think the question is not whether or not P3D will or won't die, because I don't think that's going to happen, because it's just too popular in commercial and military applications. But the question is going to come down to, what are other developers going to do? Are they going to stop developing for P3D in favor of MFS? And that's kind of a huge dark area, because basically mostly everything that we've seen released in the last 6 months has mostly been, I think, for Microsoft, right? I don't think we've seen very many new products for P3D. And so that might also add to the sentiment for a lot of folks. Maybe we shouldn't spend money in P3D at this stage. So speaking from a developer's perspective, we then have to look at this and say, okay, is it worth investing? What does it cost us per aircraft to port over to P3D? Just payroll overhead cost, right? That's what it per aircraft, would you say, Colin?
It's 3 months.
It's like 3 months worth of work for a full-time employee, right? So that's right. Fairly expensive, right? So we have to decide, okay, is it worth us spending this money, putting the aircraft into P3D V5, already knowing that most folks have already paid for it anyway. So it's not going to generate any money. It's actually not generating any money anyway. It's just covering the overhead cost to do it. When we could probably have that developer working on MS 2020, or we could be working towards getting other aircraft in P3D. There's a lot of unknowns. Even for us as developers, there's still a lot of unknowns. It's hard to try to picture where the industry is going to be in a year from now, or in 2 years or 3 years from now. It's kind of tough to forecast that at the moment. So when we're trying to make wise money decisions that keep us in business, keep our employees paid, it's really it's interesting being on this side of the fence after Air Daily X and actually seeing it from the logistical perspective, right? But that's the truth, is we have to take all of these things into consideration, and it's not easy. And we know that you guys are wanting something new, and you're staring at these previews and you're like, man, when are they gonna make it happen? And we were happy to finally get that King Air out. When I joined Milviz, I told Colin, I said, listen, if we don't get that King Air out, I'm going to get roasted, right? So we made that happen. We got it out. So far, it seems like community feedback is really good. It's your first ProLine 21 system in Flight Simulator, and real ProLine 21 system. And we hope you guys are loving it. And, our dream is to be able to put something like that in the MS 2020. That's what we want to do. Right now, it's not possible. So we're trying to start with what's simple, what we can get in, but it's proving itself to be time costly and financially costly. But we have to do something, right? And we want to make you guys happy, and we want to prove to ourselves that we can do it as well. But we thought we would just give you a little bit of insight in terms of how things happen on our end, kind of what the state of the sim is on behalf of us, you know, we're working, we're here, and yeah, we're a little bit as an unknown in terms of how the future is. So we're kind of like a fork in the road. We're putting resources in P3D. We're putting resources in MS 2020, but that means collectively things have moved a lot slower. And where the most of our focus and resources have gone is to our commercial applications, which, quite frankly, I am very, very grateful and thankful for, because that's what's keeping the lights on. People are not spending a lot of money on the consumer space right now. So you guys are unsure, as are we. Do you have any questions, Ash, or anything in there?
Well, there's some questions. I don't know if you want to go into some specifics. We have a Thud fan who is looking forward to the F-105. Is that going to suffer due to us being at the fork in the road, or
suffer? The decision will have to be made at some point if we put it into 2020, and that will really depend on what 2020, what Microsoft does at this point, right? The fact that we can't go supersonic is a real issue for jets, for that kind of jet. There's also you can't do weapons of any kind in 2020 if you want to sell on their marketplace. There's significant limitations. So would we do it for P3D? Well, if 2020 wasn't in the picture, absolutely. Would we do it for 2020 even with the limitations? I don't know. It's hard to say. So right now, you know, unfortunately for Thud lovers, you know, the answer is the projects like that one are on hold until we see where things are going. We can't work on them and you know, spend significant time and significant monies. You know, coding something like the Thud would take us a year to do, you know, at least, and that pretty much puts us, you know, would we sell any in P3D? I don't know. It's risky. So, you know, in answer to that question, I think we're looking at it's on hold, and you know, things like the F6F. We have a totally revamped F6F that one of our devs really loves that plane, and he's like, oh, please put it in. Sorry, Farley. But yeah, that's you know, that's the kind of thing that you know, even internally we get that, and it's it has to be a no at this time, because you know, imagine that we put it into P3D and we sell 50 units. We sell 50 of them.
It doesn't cover the cost.
It doesn't even begin to cover the cost. I mean, that's one dev's salary for a week. That's not even, you know, it's not acceptable. So we can't say yes to that. I wish that we could, you know, but if Microsoft opens up the doors and says, you know, yeah, here, okay, you can do supersonic. You can't do weapons, but you can do supersonic. You can do your own flight modeling externally. You can do, you know, all of the things that you usually do externally, and then sure, we would move ahead, absolutely. And in 2020, we absolutely would. But as it stands right now, and that unfortunately goes for not just the Thud, but it goes for the F-100 in 2020. It goes for the Mu-2. It's the same thing, right? The Mu-2, I'd love to do that aircraft, and in fact, it's about 2/3 of the way done, but it's on hold.
How many years have I been begging for the Mu-2?
Man, you know, like I've seen one of those planes up close and personal, and it is wild.
It is. You see how to fly that thing when you're on as soon as you're taking off and you're just full.
Yeah, but it's like a jet, right?
Yeah, it's like a jet. That thing's insane.
Tell you, right?
Yeah.
They tell you, fly it like you fly a jet, and then you're good. Anyway, point being that, we stopped. We had to, because we put it out on P3D, and it sells 100 units. I mean, honestly, in all honesty, this insider information, the King Air, we have not made any money on the King Air. We lost money, huge amounts of money, huge, massive. I could go on with adjectives, but the end result is that 2020 came out just before we released the King Air, right? And sales were not good, and they have not been good. And we thank everybody who's purchased the product, and thank you very much. And we think it's an amazing product, and we're hoping the Avanti does okay enough to at least cover the costs of at least part of the King Air, and then we'll do the Lear 60 XR. Because that one is, fingers crossed, also hopefully going to make some money in P3D. But
and that's the question, and that's what we're hopeful for, because whereas you're seeing a lot of developments going in MS 2020, the likelihood is that in the case of Milviz, you'll be seeing the bulk of our stuff going into P3D, and so it's kind of our hope that those who have remained loyal and to us and to P3D, that when these products come out, that you don't flog us for not putting it into MS 2020, or at least now you have an idea as to why it won't or has not happened, and that when the P3D version comes out, that you'll support it, because that's going to be the key indicator for us to determine if we're going to do anything else in P3D, or if we should just wait this whole thing out, or what we should do. So
yeah,
that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, here's one of the things that we could do, right? And this discussion has happened multiple times, is, there is a PL21, quote unquote PL21, underlined, bolded. It's not really a PL21. It's in 2020. We could slap that into the Lear XR, throw the Citations flight model onto it, make some minor adjustments, and, Bob's your uncle. There's a Lear 60 XR. But is it really a Lear 60 XR? The answer has to be no. Would it sell like crazy, like hotcakes? Maybe. Would it sell to people who are our clientele like hotcakes? Probably not, because as our clients, you expect more from us than just that, right? We are not Coronado. We are not going to throw, and this isn't to slag them. They have their client base, right? And that's fine. But we don't apply default gauges and default systems where those systems would not be correct for the aircraft in question, right? And so putting the existing PL21, good as it may be, it isn't as good as ours. It's just not. Ours is close to FTD. It's very close to FTD at this point. And so, that's not what the Microsoft one is. Sorry to say, it just isn't. And I'm not telling you people anything new here. So anyway, the thought has crossed our mind to do that. Nice model. It looks great. It isn't the real thing, but it looks great, right? Do we do that? So polling suggests, not that any of us trust polls anymore, right? That's like not at all. But the numbers don't lie. Right now, the numbers don't lie, and that is P3D is not financially viable. So even running conversions where we charge for the conversion, that isn't necessarily going to give us enough funds to pay for the conversion. And so that's why we haven't, and that, we're in the same position most of us are in the North American continent. We are between a rock and a hard place. The rock being MS 2020 and the hard place being P3D. It's like,
What about that other spot that you missed?
Which one is that?
Explain.
Oh my God. Don't even go there. God, man. I got death threats on them. Fuck. I was like, that was like, what? Yeah, no. And guess what? The ATR? Yeah, sure. Explain? Well, I don't know. Maybe we will, and maybe we won't. Maybe.
We cannot confirm nor deny the possibility that the ATR will make its way into X-Plane. That's what we'll say.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to be doing it. Somebody else can arrange that shit. It's not going to be me that does it. Anyway, so yeah, X-Plane. At this time, we're not doing anything else for X-Plane. The development time is crazy to do really good product. It's crazy, and sales numbers just aren't. They're just not there. Nice sim, not as nice as P3D, and we could go into the fanboys. Maybe I'll get some death threats. I don't know, but
I mean, there are a lot of things that X-Plane does a hell of a lot better than P3D does, for sure. Helicopters, that's definitely, that's a big one, right?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, really? Is that true? I mean, I've heard that before, but is it true?
From what I understand, yes, by default. But a lot of what we do externally for our stuff, maybe the difference isn't that big.
I don't think the difference is that big because one of our clients, one of the military clients, told us that they were really impressed with what we did. So
yeah,
well,
all of our military clients are impressed with what we do.
So we got a question about the 737 in MSFS 2020. Do you think the platform is there to the extent that we can bring it into 2020?
Yes, but without the FMS.
Yeah.
No FMS.
So that will be after the bush planes and general aircraft that might come in.
Well, this is the plan. Okay, the plan is put the 310 in the next short period of time, undefined.
A month or so, maybe.
Yeah, fingers crossed that it goes in, end of January or before. So the 310 goes in. Shortly thereafter, the Porter, and then the Otter Totter, and the Beaver, and others in the list. We do have some people who really like the 737, and yeah, so we're looking at that. It's a beautiful plane in MS 2020. I've seen it. It's beautiful. It really is. It's beautiful. I don't know. The answer is yes, but when? Hard to say. If the 310 turns around and makes us, a huge amount of money and puts us into a place where we can afford to, properly develop aircraft for 2020, then yes, we will move ahead at all speed, all hands on board.
I imagine ideally we could probably do the 737 after the 310, but you'd be going back to VOR navigation with that. The current SDK just doesn't allow for us to put a functioning FMS, and I imagine that's the sort of thing that everyone wants the most. To be able to use in MS 2020, to be able to put together a proper flight plan. So the question is whether or not people will want to fly the 737 without the FMS. That's the bigger question. If you're just going to do VOR navigation or whatever, you can use whatever they already have in there. So
yeah, or we could take the 737 and slap an FMS from another aircraft in there.
You use their FMS basically.
Yeah, it'd be half-assed, but
we don't like doing half-assed, do we? Though, Colin.
Well, I don't know.
Well,
Maybe we should start.
It looks beautiful in PBR. Do you think that's going to come out anytime soon, or is that still waiting at the fork in the road?
The PBR is done.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous.
We have done the PBR. We just have to get it. I mean, if you're talking the conversion over to P3D, we need to look at the systems and the avionics in that bird in order to convert it over to V5 and then do installer. Make sure the mapping and everything works. So that is in the list to be converted. As to when, unknown, undefined, can't say.
Okay. And there's a question about the Hercules. I presume that's with the Thud still at the crossroads.
Yeah. Okay. So let's deal with that right now. The Hercules, the F-15E, the F-15C, the F-16, any of those military simulation aircraft, it would be a hard sell for us at this time to put them into the consumer market. I know people are going to be, oh no, I've been waiting. And it's true. I get it. I understand. I do. But there are a couple of issues here. The first is that there's DCS. I hate to sell the competition on this, but they're doing those kinds of aircraft. They're not. Some of them are done well. Some of them are not done well. Kudos to Heatblur and their team on the F-14. Like, rock my world. That sucker is amazing. The other ones, some of them are okay. Most of them are not. But ours are designed for a specific purpose, and that purpose is training military pilots to fly the airplanes the way that they're supposed to be flown. That is the intention, and that was always the intention. And now, given our connection to DoD, it would be very difficult for us to turn to DoD and say,
"Can we sell this to Bobby and Timmy?"
That's it, and that's rocking, right? And they'd be like, "Well, no," right? So rather than taking a risk, the likelihood of those products moving to P3D consumer ever is becoming increasingly unlikely. That is one of the reasons we pulled the
T-38C.
Yeah. So we're still selling the T-38A, but the reason we are doing that is because there is no updated T-38A. It is just the T-38A, and that's it. But the T-38C is still getting upgrades to its avionics systems, and we are implementing those upgrades. And because of ITAR, we can't. Legally, we would get into so much trouble if we put that up for sale. So
basically, Boeing and the military provides us with that information, and we use that to update the aircraft system so that they can use it in their training. So needless to say, we cannot turn that over to for commercial use or for entertainment use, and the same would likely go for the Hercules.
Yeah. So one of the things that I was thinking about the Hercules was that we would toss it into 2020 and just put some screens in there, and and the backup systems, but it wouldn't do any of the things that the real Hercules could do.
It wouldn't be Milviz, really.
Yeah, it wouldn't be really, it wouldn't be an MV product. And that, would that be acceptable? I don't know. See, and that's incumbent upon you, the consumer, right? I'm looking at you, right? Not at Osh. It's incumbent upon you to let us know that it's okay to do that. Some are going to say yes, and some are going to say, no, we're waiting for, for you to do your F-15, instead of buying Dean's. Dean's looks pretty good, I gotta say. It looks pretty good. Kudos to you, Dean.
Yeah.
Right. But are they the same equivalent as ours? No. And he never said that they were, and that's totally.
That's never been his focus. Yeah.
he's got his market and we have ours, and unfortunately ours has now dovetailed. Ha ha ha! See what I did? Has dovetailed with yeah, right, exactly.
So when you
With
say it's dovetailed, that means it's going to disappear?
God, I hope not. That would suck. That would really suck. Sorry, your contract is done.
I
Yeah.
think I have some Flight
Anyway,
Sim World hats
so
upstairs somewhere.
we'd all have to get new jobs, dude. Remember? Yeah.
Okay, the Buff and Bone fans are on. What have you got for them? Same story?
Uh, the buff we could probably do for 2020, and I'm seriously considering it. I think it would be cool. It wouldn't be able to drop any bombs, but it's a cool airplane to fly, and it's almost all analog. We built both the analog and the new glass version. So that one is actively ongoing. Do we do it? I don't know yet. We'll have to see. For the Bone, God, I love that airplane. I love that airplane.
Me too.
But $30K just to get it off the ground. Ha ha ha. It's like, it's a lot of money, and will it sell enough to cover that and the coding costs? I doubt it.
We've been trying to suss out any commercial possibilities for it, but doesn't really seem to be the case. I think the military's gotten rid of them, or retired quite a few of them too.
They still fly them, and they still intend to fly them, but they can't. They're not able to fly them the way that they have as a penetrator, right? Low level, high speed. They can't do it anymore because the wings will fall off, right? So, who knows? Who knows? I love that plane. If I was to do it, it would be if we were to do it, it would be super simplistic, right? That's the reality. It would have to be super simplistic because it takes 4 people to fight that aircraft. Even the pilot and the co-pilot, they don't do their own navigation. There's a navigator in the back. So how would you do that, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's complicated. How do you set that up so that it flies like the real thing? So even looking at it from a commercial,
we'd have to code it the way A2A did with like the Connie or the Strato, where you've got like a virtual, guy back there doing your net. Now that's going to cost money in coding to do. That's not easy. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Heatblur did with what's his name, Jessica. No. Not Jessica. What's his name? Jester. That's it. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Nick. Yeah, so that's not a slag on girls because, hey, listen, no, sorry. I'm just going to go back to Jester. Jester, the tech that goes behind Jester is amazing. Wow. That is some really good tech. So, if we had something like that for the Bone, that would be great, but it's expensive to do that, And I'm waiting for somebody to ask about DCS. I'm surprised that nobody has. What's going on? Is anybody out there?
I think they all get it by now. There's no way we're doing anything for DCS.
We're not doing anything for DCS. It's a Russian-based company. We can't do anything for them. We would be foolish to do that. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah.
Hey, just for me, because I'm here and no one mentioned it, I'm so disappointed. The Habu, it's very close. Do you see any progress on that?
The Habu. That is one plane that should absolutely go into 2020. And I'll tell you why. 2020's world base is incredible when you look at it from high up. It's incredible. Now imagine that you're at 80K and you're moving at, 1,600 miles an hour, 1,700 miles an hour, and you roll the plane over so you can see through the window because those windows are tiny, right? And you're looking at the world. That would be special. I mean, wow. But doing it in 2020, wow. So yeah, just for P3D, it too is on hold while we finish up another contract, and then we're going back to it for P3D. I don't know, honestly. That I think that's why we're doing this show is you know, we want to tell you, we want to be honest and upfront with you. Look, the reality is we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what to do. You know, if you step too much this way and it goes that way, you're screwed. If you step too much that way and it goes that way, you're screwed.
And either way, we piss off people.
Yeah, and everybody gets pissed off, and then you know, I'm living in it, you know, the people who work for us, you know, there's like 30 plus people who work for us. You know, we don't want to put them on the street either. You know, everybody, you know, they rely on us to put food on their table and a roof over their heads, right? You know, and as a company, we firmly believe in helping out the people who work for us as much as we can, you know, and helping out other people as well, you know. So that's where we stand. It really is. It's tough right now, and it's not just tough because of these decisions, you know, like 2020 or P3D. It's tough just because of COVID, right? I mean, who has $90 to spend on a, you know,
on a toy?
Yeah, on a toy.
You know, it's funny though, man. We're trying to get that PS5 for our kid for Christmas, and holy crap, people have money for that shit. No kidding.
You can't get one. You can't get one. I tried to get one for somebody in my family. And it was like, yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
You know, one guy was like asking $1,500. Eat me, bucko.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know?
They'll be back in stock in a few months. Well, listen, it's been an hour. I think we only wanted to do this for like 30 minutes, but it's literally been an hour into it. And, you know, hopefully we've been able to add a little bit of insight. This is recorded, so I think we're going to try to upload this to the Facebook page. Osh, I don't know. Do we have a YouTube account you might be able to upload this to or something like that we can do? So for those who missed it or tuned in late.
Maybe.
Okay. Awesome. So, listen, once this video goes up on Facebook or wherever, feel free to add any additional questions you have in the chat there, and we'll do our best to answer them. But hopefully this just gives you a little bit of insight, because I know it just kind of seems like everything is quiet and it's hard to know, even as a consumer, which direction to spend your money in. And I'm a consumer, so I totally get it. I totally understand. And hopefully this has just been a little bit enlightening for you. But I will say this, is that right now Milviz is in a really good place, just in terms of the fact that you know, we're running, we're here, you know, we've got lots of projects in the pipeline. It's really just a matter of making the right decisions. And so that's really the big, I think the difficult part for us right now is just we want to make sure that we make the right decisions. Every decision we make always seems to have ramifications somewhere. So I hope this has been enlightening for you all. And Colin, Osh, any parting words before we go?
No.
No, not from me, but thanks for the love that I can see in the chat there. I'm hoping Colin and Dee will be able to see that. It won't just disappear into the ether when we close the
I actually have
broadcast.
I guess there are some chats down there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
But
well, thank you. And listen, for our customers also, thank you for remaining loyal to us. And, you know, I certainly hope we've been continuing to live up to your expectations with updates and everything that we've been able to put out there. And once we know something, you know, we'll let you know. I do plan to start live streaming and showing off the C310 in MS 2020 probably in the next week or so, just to give you guys an idea of how it looks, how it's coming along, how it's flying, and, you know, a little something to kind of get you guys going. But in terms of release, I'm still not sure yet. So like I said, this is whole new territory for us, and we want to do it as right as we possibly can. So, but yeah, we'll be showing that off over the next week or so. So you want to stick with the Milviz Facebook page, because when we announce these things, that's where all that stuff will come up. And other than that, wherever you are, whether it's still Saturday or Sunday already, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will see you all soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Kill it, man. Kill it. Kill it.
Killing it.
I got to go to the bathroom.
Hey, let's do the rest of this while you're on the toilet.